It's Real Fit Radio with B
and J.LOU.
If this is your first time listening, welcome. And if you're a returning listener, welcome back.
Good morning, good afternoon, good evening. When planning for a year, plant corn. When planning for a decade, plant trees. When planning for life, train and educate people. It's another Chinese proverb. I've been finding some really dope sayings and quotes from that.
I like the part about planning for life, train and educate, because as long as you're continuing to equip yourself with new knowledge, you're forever learning. Like you just keep growing and growing and growing to the day you die. I like that.
Yeah, not only that, what I took from the planning and educating people is when you're training and educating other people, that's like business. The more people that have knowledge to do what you do, it takes the load off of you. Because you're planning for a decade, meaning you're planning to try to survive for your whole life. So you lighten the load by teaching other people how to do what you do.
I love it.
Duplication.
As usual, you're giving us those gems before we jump into the meat and the potatoes of the podcast.
I'm ready. Let's do it.
You ready?
Mm-hmm.
You ready?
Yeah.
Would you date yourself?
Oh, wow.
This question is something I think people don't even ponder. I say this all the time to other people, to the kids. It's like you're so busy, putting out in the world what you want, praying for what you want, telling everybody what you need, who you looking for. But are you that? Are you the person you'd want to date? How do you take care of yourself? Are you financially, free? Or are your finances even in order? What's your credit score? I think that people often are in a position of gimme, 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 and they're not in a position to be the person that they want to date. Would you date yourself, Lou? Well, don't say now, but just think about the question in general of okay. Would you date yourself? It doesn't even have to be you. It's just like, your thoughts on that. Because now you're not even in the dating game no more. Like you're married.
No, No, I'm kidding. No, we have talked about this in the house a couple of times. And I think as I've gotten older, the understanding of that has definitely changed from the time I was introduced to that to now. Because even when you go to the bottom of the situation or the bottom of dating, like where do you go find that person that you're trying to date, or where do you place yourself in position for the people you're trying to run into that you want to date? That type of stuff. I used to think, well, man, you need to just change where you go. Instead of going to the club, why don't you go to an art gallery or what interests you, right? You go there and you put yourself in position to run into those people. Well, it's much more than just placing yourself in those places. It's like giving advice to somebody and telling them where to go get what they asking for, but they're not really there. It's a representation of themselves. So if I told you the club is a bad place to fish or go for meeting people, and then I tell you where you should go, and you go there and that's not something that you really about, but you really that club person, it still won't work out, because who you are as a person is that club person. You're not the art gallery person. So you find that person in there and y'all start talking. You try to put on a facade that that's who you are, but it ends up not working anyways. And that person probably was a good dude or a good woman, but it didn't mesh because you're not dating who you are. So it's much more than putting yourself in position for that. And I don't think people really look at themselves enough to really understand what dating yourself means. I've seen certain quotes, I'm on Twitter a lot, where women are being like, yeah, take yourself to the beauty salon, take yourself to the nail spa. I mean, I've heard you say it, and it's like, oh, okay, B used to say that all the time. If you like movies, take yourself to the movies. Or you want somebody to be a good-hearted person and always there to help, who do you help? So a lot of the things that people are looking for, I don't think they look inward first. And I think that's definitely where you need to start. Before you even write a list down of what you want from somebody else, why don't you take some time and write the good qualities that you have about yourself and the bad qualities and line them up and see if you have more good than bad or more bad than good. And before you go on and try to match yourself with somebody else, try looking at those bad things, regardless of how many it is, and be like, ooh, I definitely don't want to deal with that. So let me work on that first. My attitude, is fucked up. I don't want nobody snapping at me the way I snap at people. And I think you gain a better perspective, and it will help you enhance your chances of dating someone that's worthwhile and you're reciprocating the same value. I've never heard it the way you said it, like, be who you want to date. But I've been the person that came out and been like, dude, you date exactly what you are. So if every time you get into a relationship, and this is not everybody, but this is majority of the time, this is just my opinion. When you running into the same issues with people, I don't know, maybe it's somebody who is lazy and it's like, man, this dude or this girl is lazy as shit. Look back at yourself and see what it is that you're doing. And I'm only saying this if you've done it multiple times. Whatever traits you keep attracting, that's a telltale sign that you need to start looking inward. Like, why am I attracting that person? And it's a good chance that you have a lot of those qualities that you're attracting and you're not fixing those. I might have been all over the place with that, but that's how I view it. I do feel like you need to look inward, fix a lot of those things to the best of your abilities, and then go out there and put yourself in the world and organically meeting people. And I think your success rate will come out a lot better because the qualities that you have for yourself, you're going to demand those qualities from other people. They say opposites attract, but at the end of the day, when you peel back all the layers, I tell B all the time, we're a lot alike in a lot of different areas, more than you know. So,
and now a quick moment from our sponsor, Journey of a Legend.
You. Yeah, you. What's your passion? Purpose. Every day you try, you succeed. The time is now. Journey of a Legend. It starts with you.
If you want to learn more or purchase merchandise, go to www.journeyofalegend.com. I think that was a great way perspective-wise. Instead of just focusing on would you date yourself, you kind of took it into be who you want to date. Like you are what you eat, you are what you date. So those things when you said you're attracting this or you finding like I keep dealing with the same guy, the same type of girl, the same type of partner. I keep having the same type of scenario when it comes to dating. Like, yeah, but you're attracting what you are. It's like you're putting out that bat signal, that same energy. You're on the same vibration, and that's why it keeps coming to you. On our bedroom door, I have the 4 agreements. Be impeccable with your word. Don't take anything personally. Don't make assumptions. Always do your best. If I'm not exemplifying those things, and I know those are huge foundational,
pillars.
Thank you, to have, or qualities as well to have in the individual I desire to be with, because those are huge things for me. And I'm working on them, and I might not be at the very best in those areas. 9 times out of 10, I may attract someone that's not the very best in those areas too. So instead of me focusing on putting out, I'm looking for this, I'm looking for that, I always say make the vision plain. You can make your list of what you desire to see in your partner, so you have a reference point, so you know what you're not going to entertain. Write it down. I think you should have a blueprint or reference point for everything. We do it for goals. Why not for who we desire to spend a great majority of our time or life with? In doing that, if you see like I'm really not tip top on these areas, instead of me focusing on I'm going to go get this person, be that person, focus on making yourself better in those areas, exemplifying those qualities that you desire to attract. And I believe you will, in being the best version of yourself, attract the best version of what you already desire to date. Does that make sense to you?
Yeah, no, it does, 100%.
And it ties into what you said earlier, the quote, your podcast quote that we started onto about for the lifestyle, training and educating. If you're busy training and educating and getting yourself prepared for the opportunity, because it's what you asked for, you'll be ready. Be who you want to date, because if you stay ready, you won't have to get ready. And when they come, more than likely, it's going to exemplify everything you put out. That vibration, that same wavelength, I attracted what I am. So all that stuff ties into being who you want to date, and you're putting yourself in the best position to attract that. Whether it's I want them to be kind, I want them to have a enriched spiritual life, I want them to be thoughtful, I want them to be supportive. Are you those things? Mm-hmm. I want them to be loving. I want them to have their finances in order. I want their credit score to be great so that, we're not struggling with issues because we want to buy a home, or I want them to have a business mindset because I'm an entrepreneur. Are you those things?
Exactly. To add to that point about when you start peering into yourself and writing that stuff down and seeing it and identifying and fix it. Think about it like this. You guys ever bought a car or thought about wanting a car? Any car that you can think of, whatever it is. And it's like, I'm going to get that car. I'm going to get that car. And you be so dialed in on it because of that. And all of a sudden you start spotting that car everywhere you go. You just see it over and over and over again. That's the same way it is with dating. I just feel like whatever qualities you looking for, the more you start working on it and fixing it in yourself, you will start to identify that on other people much quicker than what you did when you wasn't working on that stuff. It's a lot harder to spot that car that you want. You've been seeing it all the time. You just didn't know it because you wasn't looking for it. Now that you know what to look for, in a sense, or even spiritually, because I feel like sometimes you can just walk past somebody and be like, oh, okay. Or it could be a gesture that was made, a statement that was made, and it's like, oh, I can identify with it. I don't know. It's just interesting. Your eyes are open in a different capacity when you do the things you said and you go out to the world with that information. It's like, dang, I didn't even see it like this. It's almost like Neo. You see the binary code. You see everything in a different perspective as opposed to just like, I want that, but you don't even know what that looks like. You don't even know what that sounds like. You got to be able to speak the language, not figuratively, but you got to be able to speak the language to even identify for yourself.
And the birds of a feather flock together, huh? It's almost like you can draw it to you.
Mm-hmm.
Great example, by the way, with the cars, because that happens so much. Once you dial in on it, you like, I'm seeing this all the time now. Be who you want to date. And if you wouldn't date yourself, you got some explaining to do and some work to do.
Oh, yeah. Would you date yourself?
Yes, I would. I'm still a work in progress. I'm not perfect, but as far as those pillars, the foundation of who I am, yes, I'm in such a good place because I know exactly like this person is going to be in the dirt with me in every aspect. The core fundamentals, the core qualities, the core pillars, that's the foundation of the house.
Mm-hmm.
This is a house built on sand can't stand. This foundation is solid over here. I'm a classic. You don't see me all the time in the streets. When you do, it's like, ooh, that's nice right there. That new stuff, that plastic stuff, you hit it, it's going to bend all up. Boy. I'm a classic. You hit me, your car going to be messed up. I'm old school, baby.
Oh, my God. She said old school.
Well, you have any questions, comments, concerns, suggested topics, or you want to keep this conversation going, shoot us an email at realfitradio@gmail.com. Our podcast drops every Monday. You can catch a snippet of our latest one on our Instagram at realfitradio. If you're not following us, you definitely should be. As always, we hope this inspired, impacted, or empowered someone. Until next time.